The Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, show number 359, a tribute to Jed Marum. Welcome to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, helping you celebrate Celtic culture through music. My name is Mark Gunn, the Celt Father. I am a Celtic and geek musician and podcaster, and this show is dedicated to the indie Celtic musicians. I want to ask you to support these artists, share the show with your friends, and find more episodes at CelticMusicPodcast.com. You can also support this podcast on Patreon. We kicked off the show with Jed Marum's tune, Calla's Waltz. That tune was inspired by the CD of the same name, and the last CD, in fact, of Jed Marum. I was saddened when I learned that Jed Marum passed away on May 2nd, 2018. He was 66 years old. Now, Jed's music has been a big part of this podcast. He first showed up in show number 13, but he quickly became an essential part of the show. He even allowed me to share some of his CDs in their entirety on the podcast. Number 42 featured his album Lonestar, Stout, and number 91 featured Soul of a Wanderer. My first big experience with Jed was at the Texas Scottish Festival in 2011, and I shared a stage with him and Hugh Morrison, among other musicians. And I'm not a super outgoing guy when I'm in person, but Jed approached me. He made me feel like he did with everyone, like one of the family. He was super kind and generous. So today I'm going to highlight his music, and I'm going to share some of the music of others as well, but it's mostly about Jed. His passing is a great loss to the Celtic community, and I want to celebrate his life with music. Next up is Fiddlinda with Tripping from There and Then, Here and Now.
Well, I am a little beggarman, a begging I have been now for 80 more in this little Isle of Green. I beg from the Liffey down to Sagoo, and I go by the name of Old Johnny Doo. Of all the trades that go, now begging is the best, for when a man's tired he can sit down and rest. Beg for his supper, then there's nothing left to do but to cut around the corner when his old rigadoo. Well, I met a little flaxy-haired girl one day. Good morning, little flaxy-haired girl, I'd say. Good morning, little beggarman, and how do you do? With your rags and your tags and your old rigadoo. I'll buy a pair of leggings and a collar and a tie, and a nice young lady I'll fetch by and by. Buy a pair of goggles and a collar then blue, and an old-fashioned lady, well, I'll meet her too. I slept in a barn, danced the carp on, a wet night came on, and I slept till the dawn. Holes in the roof and the rain a coming through, and the rats and the cats there playing peekaboo. Who should awaken but the lady of the house, in her white spotty apron and her calico blouse. She began to frighten and I said, boo! Don't be afraid, ma'am, it's only Johnny Doo.
hath girded on, and his wild harp slung along behind him. Land of song, cried the warrior bard, though all the world betrays thee, one sword at least thy rights shall guard, one faithful harp shall praise thee. The minstrel fell, but the foeman's chains could not bring that proud soul under. The harp he loved never spoke again, for he tore its cords asunder, and said, no chains shall sully thee, thou soul of love and bravery. Thy songs were made for the pure and free, there shall never sound in slavery. The minstrel boy will return, we pray, when we hear the news, we'll all cheer it. Will return one day, torn perhaps in body, not in spirit. Then may he play on his harp in peace, in a world such as heaven intended. For all the bitterness of man must cease, every battle must be ended.
After Fiddlinda came Carolina Ceili with Jolly Beggarman from 50 Shades of Green, then The Western Lasses and My Sweetheart Jane from Mason Brown from I Am a Handsome Devil, and finally The Minstrel Boy by Linda Relph, David Lovrien, Lary Fowler, and Jed Marum from the album The South Wind. Of course, Fiddlinda and Mason Brown have been performed with a number of his albums. Hope you'll check their music out as well. I want your feedback. What are you doing today while listening to the podcast? You can send a written comment along with a picture of what you're doing. Email a voicemail message to celticpodcast@gmail.com. Now, I asked a whole bunch of people to provide some thoughts and memories of Jed, and I got a number of emails that I want to share with you, as well as some voicemail. Brandon Barber posted on Patreon, "That's sad to hear Jed passed away. I still have a copy of the CD I bought when he featured Lonestar Stout." Robert McMahon posted on Patreon, "Years ago, Jed played at my home for family and friends. Even though my children were quite young, they never forgot that visit. His music was so heartfelt. I'm terribly saddened by the news." Randy Treadway posted on Facebook, "We probably have his last recordings from his January show here in the music room," and I'm not entirely sure which music room that is, Randy. Thank you so much for sharing. Wade Weiler posted on Facebook, "I'm still in shock and disbelief after reading the news yesterday, but also most thankful for knowing Jed. He and I were in the band Amon's Kitchen several years back, along with Karen Ricard and Edward Riccardi. I think my favorite song of Jed's is his song Uncle Joe." Alan Marcotte emailed, "Mark, I just saw that Jed Marum died suddenly yesterday. I became a fan of his when I heard Prayer from Little Round Top on the podcast a few years back." Trudy Scales sent this voice recording. She shared a whole bunch of memories. I decided to share just one.
My name is Grace Scales, and I'm pretty sure that I'm supposed to say what a great guy Jed was. While that would be entirely true, it would lack authenticity. He called me in the evenings when he was on the road as a part of his red wine and sardines ritual. Right now, I kind of think that I'm always going to be waiting for that call and always feel kind of eviscerated when it doesn't come. We've suffered a really great loss. I met Jed next to a stage at NTIF, and I thought absolutely no more of him than a tall, well-kept man. And that evening, I was just walking around the festival, and I noticed that my daughter was sitting by Jed. She was about 18 months old at the time, and he was showing her how to play his guitar. Now, the guitar was larger than she was, but he was sitting cross-legged on the ground, which is kind of a feat for someone so tall, with this little kid just paying absolute attention to him. Kind of the years went by. He had always been her favorite, and even though he fell under her sparkly little spell first, I guess in time we'll fill it with something other than the aching that is there right now. My suggestion, for anyone who might care, as to what to fill it with, is charmingly and slightly ragged smile, and some idea that hopefully we can bring him along with us. And of course, bacon, beef jerky, and ice cream.
Cynthia Knowlton posted a photo on Facebook. You can find it in the show notes. Jed was also an actor. Here he is in character for his role in Road to Valhalla from Lone Chimney Films. All right, we're going to continue on with some of the music from Jed. Next up is Rising of the Moon from his album Lonestar Stout.
Now then tell me, Sean O'Farrell, tell me why you hurry so. Hush me, buckle, hush and listen, and his cheeks were all aglow. I bear orders from the captain, get you ready quick and soon, with your pike upon your shoulder for the rising of the moon. For the rising of the moon, for the rising of the moon, with your pike upon your shoulder for the rising of the moon. Now then tell me, Sean O'Farrell, where the gathering is to be. Near the old spot by the river, right well known to you and me. One more thing, a signal token, whistle up a marching tune. For the pikes must be together by the rising of the moon. By the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon. For the pikes must be together by the rising of the moon. From many a mud-walled cabin, eyes were looking through the night. Many a manly heart was throbbing till blessed morning light. The cry arose along the river like some banshee's mournful croon, and 1,000 pikes were flashing by the rising of the moon. By the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon, and 1,000 pikes were flashing by the rising of the moon. All along the shining river, one black mass of men was seen, and above them in the night wind floated our immortal green. Death to every foe and traitor, onward strike with marching tune, and around me boys for freedom, 'tis the rising of the moon. 'Tis the rising of the moon, 'tis the rising of the moon, and around me boys for freedom, 'tis the rising of the moon. Well, they fought for dear old Ireland, and full bitter was their fate. What a glorious pride and sorrow fills the name of 98. But thank God even now our beating hearts and mankind's burning noon, who will follow in their footsteps at the rising of the moon. At the rising of the moon, at the rising of the moon, who will follow in their footsteps at the rising of the moon. At the rising of the moon, at the rising of the moon, who will follow in their footsteps at the rising of the moon.
Uncle Joe had a story and a way with the truth. Every day I try to tell his story. Across the wide fields and the Shannon, ride the days of his youth. Childhood days, boyhood ways, adventure. All alone on the ferry, sent out on the bay. Too soon the child comes of age. The whole world before him to make his own way. Every day I try to tell his story. In the cold heart of the city, his new life began. Every day I try to tell his story. Along the wild streets to the Mersey, he would grow to a man. Lonely days, hungry days, and hard times, with a pick and a shovel and a family to raise. Liverpool labor was hard, still he found love and laughter in those early days. Every day I try to tell his story. Now the miles and the memories paint the lines on his face. Every day I try to tell his story. Still he tells you of the hard times with a smile on his face. All the years, all the tears and laughter. Now kindness was not what he found in this world, but it was what he tried to give. Uncle Joe had a kind heart and a story to tell. Every day I try to tell his story. I remember the time when he entered my life. I was a young man on a journey with a child and a wife. Uncle Joe I remember as a white-haired old man with laughter and light in his eye. We'd a cheerful acquaintance and a tearful goodbye. Every day I try to tell his story. A quarter moon climbs high that West Virginian sky. I'm rolling on, still I'm miles from home. Cross that Appalachian ridge, I'm miles from home. This highway twists and turns till the midday summer burns. I'm rolling on, still I'm miles from home. Cross that Mississippi bridge, I'm miles from home. Soul, when he gave me wheels to roll. Well, I've known strife, still I love this life, and emblazoned on my heart are the miles from home. Me well, till I bid him fond farewell. His race is run, and I'm still rolling on. Now his song lives in my heart, these miles from home. Yes, his song lives in my heart, all these miles from home. As a child standing by her graveside, I recall many years ago we said our last goodbye. My loving twin sister Sarah left me that day, torn away by hunger and a blight of 45. My father said the Lord would send a mighty wind to fill our sails and take us across the sea to America. We left behind the pain and famine, we left behind the land I love, and through the years remember every day. And in dreams I see the mountaintops of my lovely Connemara, and I hear the waves roll gently on the shores along the bay, calling me back home again, and I want to go forever, and I only need a gentle breeze, and I'll be on my way. From Ireland to Talladega, Alabama carried on the wind, welcomed at my uncle's farm. Through the years now I've learned new ways, but little Sarah's lovely face I've carried in my heart since we were young. When the bells rang, I joined the 15th Regiment, fighting for my home and adopted country. Many battles now, I find myself on this Pennsylvania hilltop, and I draw deep from the gentle summer breeze. And I dream I see the mountaintops of my lovely Connemara, and I hear the
waves roll gently on the shores along the bay, calling me back home again, and I want to go forever, and I only need a gentle breeze, and I'll be on my way. With a sharp crack from a Yankee rifle, a bullet burns deep within my chest, and I'm sinking to the ground. And my eyes find a new horizon while musket fire is passing overhead in waves of muffled sound. And from here I see the mountain tops of my lovely Connemara, and I hear the waves roll gently on the shores along the bay, calling me back home again, and I want to go forever, and I only need a gentle breeze, and I'll be on my way. And here I see the mountain tops of my lovely Connemara, I hear the waves roll gently on the shores along the bay. I can see my home again, and I'm running free with Sarah, and I only need a gentle breeze, and I'll be on my way.
After Rising of the Moon was Willie Coleman tune set that was recorded for Sands of Aberdeen with Hugh Morrison and Mason Brown. Then came Uncle Joe from that same album. Then came Miles from Home from the album Miles from Home. And finally Prayer from Little Round Top. That's from his final album, Calla's Waltz. Celtic Podcast News. If you don't have the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast app, you're missing out. This is probably the easiest way to listen to the show. Well, unless you're a patron of the podcast. You can download your free podcast app from our website. Patrons of the podcast will save 40% off the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast shirt in May 2018. You'll save 40%, so it's pretty awesome. It's a good time to order one right before the festival season. The Irish and Celtic Music Podcast is supported by listeners like you. Your generous pledge helps pay for the promotion and production of the podcast and its artists, as well as my time in producing it. Patrons get episodes before regular listeners, discounts on merch, and when we hit a milestone, you get a 2-hour special. Our next milestone will bring 2 hours of Celtic flute and whistle music to your ears. I want to thank our newest patrons of the podcast, JD Ray McCulcahy, Jennifer Ward, and Hank Woodward, who raised his pledge. We're $19 away from the next milestone. You can become a patron of the podcast at patreon.com/Celtic Podcast. Next up is Witches Well. Melissa Tatum emailed a voice recording. I heard you were soliciting memories of Jed Marum for a show. Jed and I wrote several songs together, the first of which was called Witches Well and appears on Calla's Waltz. I recorded a brief snippet on how that song came to be. Here's Melissa Tatum, followed by Jed Marum performing Witches Well.
The first song Jed and I wrote together was called Witches Well. And I originally had the idea for the song back in 2005 on my first trip to Scotland. I took a walking tour of the Royal Mile, and the tour pointed out things you might miss if you didn't know what you were looking at. And one of them was something that just looked like a little flower box in the side of a wall. And when you looked closer, the plaque said it was a memorial to people who had been killed as witches in Scotland during all the witch hunts. And that just really resonated with me, and I thought, that's a song. But I had just barely started writing songs at that point, and I knew that I was not ready to write that song, so I tucked the idea away. And then years later, Jed was doing a house concert at my husband and I host a house concert series in Tucson, and Jed was playing, and he had gotten there early, and we were sharing songs, and I was showing him what I'd been doing. I have a tendency to write story songs, and he really liked some of what I was doing, so he had this melody that he thought needed to be a story song, but he hadn't really found something that fit. So he said, let me play it for you and see if it resonates. And as soon as he played it, I went, oh my God, that's the witch song. And then it did indeed become The Witches Well.
came in the night with their torches alight, and in terror they hunted them down. The wagers of sin and their practicing kin would be seized in the name of the crown. Scotland's King James pointed fingers of blame for the malice that ravaged the land. These witches must pay, we must purge them today, have their practices forever banned. Let the madness begin, the cleansing of sin, the devil will fight and win. Accusations fly and your fate is nigh, let the trials begin. You sickened his cattle, you killed her, no babe, we named you. You're a witch. The first to be sought were enchanters who taught they could heal with a potion or spell. Then women unwed who'd been taken to bed and been sleeping with demons from hell. When they were done, sure the righteous had won, and the balance of grace been restored. Hundreds had died, all of Scotland had cried, but been purged in the name of the Lord. Let the madness begin, the cleansing of sin, the devil will fight and win. Accusations fly, and your fate is nigh, let the trials begin. You sickened his cattle, you killed her, new babe, we named you. You're a witch. At the foot of the castle, a placard today will invite you to seek out the tale. It's been hundreds of years since the trials and tears, and the story of old witches well. It's a shadow that's cast from the tales of the past. It's a story of heartbreak and pain. We tally the cost of humanity lost. It's a price that's too dear to be paid. Let the madness begin, the cleansing of sin. The devil will fight and win. Accusations fly and your fate is nigh. Let the trials begin. You sickened his cattle, you killed her, new babe, we named you. You're a witch.
I asked my love to take a walk, just a walk, a little way. And as we walked along we talked all about our wedding day, and only say that you'll be mine, and no other arms entwined, down beside where the waters flow, down by the banks of the Ohio. I held my knife close to her breast, as into my arms she pressed. She cried, my boy, don't you murder me, I'm not prepared for eternity. I took her by her lily hand and let her down where the waters stand, and there I pushed her in to drown and watched the water pull her down. between 12 and 1. Cried my Lord, what have I done? Killed the only one I love, 'cause she would not be my bride. The very next day, 4:30, sheriff came round to my door, said, young man, come with me and go down to the banks of the Ohio. I asked my love to take a walk, just to have some time to talk, down beside where the waters flow, down to the banks of the Ohio.
Land behind, laddie, better days to find. The companies have the money and they'll soon teach you the skills. Green fields far away, the 40s and the bray. Be a mudman or a roustabout, they'll soon teach you to drill. But who will tend me sheep when I'm far or the deep, on the Neptune or the Sequest when the snow comes to the hill? La 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 la. La 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 la. Leave the fishing trade, lads, there's money to be made. The handline and the Shetland yawl are of a bygone day. Come to Aberdeen for sights you've never seen. Be a welder on the pipeline or a fitter at McVeigh. But when the job is o'er and your boat rots on the shore, how will you feed your family when the companies go away? La 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 la. There's harbours to be built, lads, rigs to tow and tilt, to rest upon the ocean bed like pylons in the sea. Pipeline to be laid and 100 different trades that'll pay a decent living wage to the likes of you and me. I know you're men of worth, you're the best that's in the north. Not men of greed, but men who need the work that's come your way. From Flotta to Kishorn, a new industry is born. Old Peterhead and Poverty will never be the same. I know you're men of worth, you're the best that's in the north. Not men of greed, but men who need the work that's come your way. La 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 la. Not men of greed, but men who need the work that's come your way. From Flotta to Kishorn, a new industry is born. Old Peterhead and Poverty will never be the same. I know you're men of worth, you're the best that's in the north. Not men of greed, but men who need the work that's come your way. La 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 la.
look on the green hills of Antrim. Fermanagh's behind you. It's time to move on. Look onwards to Glasgow and all your tomorrows. The future lies there and it's waiting for you. As the green crosses over to meet with the blue. And what was the sense when the wee ones were crying? The cries of the hungry, no sense to remain. No prayer can recover a sister or brother. So farewell to Fermanagh, the praying is done. Don't turn to look on the green hills of Antrim. Fermanagh's behind you. It's time to move on. Look onwards to Glasgow and all your tomorrows. The future lies there and it's waiting for you. As the green crosses over to meet with the blue. The land that you leave has had too many martyrs and too many lives that have perished in vain, and too many boats slipping out from its harbors with cargoes that never came homewards again. Don't turn to look on the green hills of Antrim. Fermanagh's behind you. It's time to move on. Look onwards to Glasgow and all your tomorrows. The future lies there and it's waiting for you. As the green crosses over to meet with the blue. Country so far from your own land is no place to die. Don't turn to look on the green hills of Antrim. Fermanagh's behind you. It's time to move on. Look onwards to Glasgow and all your tomorrows. The future there and it's waiting for you. As the green crosses over to meet with the blue. As the green crosses over to meet with the blue.
Stars that ever shone, not one could twinkle like your pale blue eyes. Like golden corn at harvest time, your hair. Standing in my boat, the wind gently blows and fills her sails. Your sweet scented breath is everywhere. No matter where I wander, I'm still haunted by your name. portrait of your beauty stays the same. Standing by the ocean, wondering where you've gone, and if you return again. Where is the ring I gave to Nancy Spain? Oh, where is the ring I gave to Nancy Spain? Daylight peeping through the curtains of the passing nighttime is your smile. Your laugh is like the sun in the sky. Come back to me, Nancy, linger for just a little while. Since you left these shores, I've known no peace or joy. No matter where I wander, I'm still haunted by your name. The portrait of your beauty stays the same. Standing by the ocean, wondering where you've gone, and if you return again. Where is the ring I gave to Nancy Spain? Oh, where is the ring I gave to Nancy Spain? On that day in spring, when the snow starts to melt, the streams to flow, with the birds I'll sing to you a song. In the while I'll wander by the bluebell groves where wild flowers grow, and hope that lovely Nancy will return. No matter where I wander, I'm still haunted by your name. The portrait of your beauty stays the same. Standing by the ocean, wondering where you've gone, and if you return again. Where is the ring I gave to Nancy Spain? Oh, where is the ring I gave to Nancy Spain?
After Witch's Well came Hugh Morrison with Banks of the Ohio from his album Prison Ballads. Then came 9/8 Irish with Men of Worth from Out on the Ocean. Then Jill Chambless, Ed Miller, and Scooter Muse from the album The Long Awa Ships. That was The Green and the Blue. And finally Tullamore with Nancy Spain from Timber and Stream. I hope you enjoyed this tribute to Jed Marum. He was an amazing person, and he will be greatly missed. I'm going to miss adding new music to his show. I've been doing it for so long. It's incredible to think about. But thank you all so much for supporting his music. Now, if you haven't bought his albums, I would suggest you go get them as soon as possible. There's no telling how long, especially if you like the CDs, there's no telling how long these CDs will still be in print. So get your copies as soon as possible, or just buy the music online. You will not be disappointed. Of course, you can also vote in the Celtic Top 20. Just list the show number and the name of one or two bands. That's it. You can vote once for each show to help me create next year's Best Celtic Music of 2018. We're going to finish up with one final track from Jed Marum. This is from his album Confederate Songs of Ireland. It's called Cross Over the River. Thank you for celebrating the music of Jed with me this week, and I'll be back again next week. Here's Cross Over the River by Jed Marum.
Let us cross over the river and sit in the shade of the trees. Let us cross over the river, for the day is done. Let us take our ease. Gone are the racket and rattle, gentle the glow of the sun, distant the field of the battle, contented my work is done. Let us cross sit in the shade of the trees. Let us cross over the river, for the day is done, let us take our ease. The soldiers are tired and weary, they're ragged but their spirits are strong. Years have been bitter and dreary, these hardships they've battled so long. Let us cross over the river and sit in the shade of the trees. Let us cross over the river, for the day is done, let us take our ease. Many's the home that's been grieved in, for their loved ones have led into war, fought and died for what they believed in. So many have brought to this shore. Let us cross over the river and sit in the shade of the trees. Let us cross over the river, for the day is done, let us take our ease. Gone are the racket and rattle, gentle the glow of the sun. Distant the field of the battle, contented his work now is done. Let us cross over the river and sit in the shade of the trees. Let us cross over for the day is done, let us take our ease.
The Irish and Celtic Music Podcast is produced by Mark Gundy, Celtfather. To subscribe, go to Apple Podcasts or to our website, where you can become a patron of the podcast for as little as $1 per episode. Promote Celtic culture through music at CelticMusicPodcast.com.